All right, hello guys. Welcome back to another webinar here at Cellular Repair School. William Agnew.
Josh, great. First things first, let's do an audio check, audio and video check, make sure everybody can see and hear us okay. We had another little set of difficulties again, so we apologize for the delay, but we want to make sure everything's working okay. So let's just double check the chat real quick. There is a little bit of a delay between when you're going to hear us and when we see your response. So just let us know that you guys are able to hear us okay at this point.
Okay, we see you. Can you hear us?
I know, right? Yeah, that's important. That no echoes and stuff this time. We're good. All right, cool.
Okay. Good.
Let's jump into it, man.
All right. Sorry about being late, guys. Whew, this technology.
Hey, but we're here. So at the end of the day, we're here. We're going to give you guys a great show again today. So
exactly.
Let's jump into it.
So we got a few things we're going to talk about today, and I'm going to go ahead and kind of run down. Give me a second. Let me flip to the agenda so you guys can follow along with me. Let me do this.
Yeah, because we're talking about, well, today our focus is how to help them get more repair business.
Exactly.
Right. So it's really about letting you guys get out there to make more money. And we've got a special guest coming on with us today as well that is in the trenches just like some of you guys might be. Some of you guys may not be, but you're going to want to really listen in and tune in. We'll be talking about that here in a minute. You got your slide up?
Yeah, I think what I'm going to have to do, I don't know if I'm going to be able to use the slide because the slide was on that other computer last week. So what I'll do is just speak to it. So what we're going to be doing, guys, is I'm going to run down the agenda real quick, all right? So like Josh was saying, the first thing we're going to focus on this week is the power of no-cost or very low-cost tools to make more money for your business. So, and then we're going to move into specifically what those tools are. So we're going to tell you guys. If you guys remember, some of you guys that took the test drive, what you guys saw is an example of that. Because what we did is we gave you guys a free test, and you guys had the ability to use one of those free things, which is very powerful, which is Craigslist, all right? And we're actually going to be discussing that a little more today, and because all we did was really give it to them, Josh. We didn't really talk about it. Right. We didn't talk about it. We just gave it to you. So what we want to do this week is we want to answer any questions you guys may have had in regards to that. If you had any problems or if you didn't really understand how to do it, we're going to be talking about that this week, and we're going to be adding more things to that. And again, we're going to be talking about things that you can do to generate more income or more customers at a very low cost to start with. And then what we'll do is we'll migrate into paid, like things that you can do to pay to get more customers.
Right, exactly.
But
if we have time.
If we have time.
We have a pretty condensed show.
If we have time. So we're going to talk about, and I'm sorry I don't have the PowerPoint, the presentation to pull up. We're having some technical difficulties, so I can't see it, but I can see it on my computer. So we're going to be talking about what to expect from Craigslist, okay? What to expect from Craigslist. And again, you guys had Craigslist. And then we're going to get into the power of Yelp. And some of you guys may or may not have heard of Yelp. And Josh, you and I were having a conversation just a couple of days ago about the power of Yelp.
Right. Yeah. And so we'll be getting into that.
We'll be getting into that. Don't want to steal anybody's thunder. We'll be getting into Yelp and how powerful. Actually, Josh allowed me to understand how powerful Yelp has really become. So we'll be talking about that. It's kind of a sleeper.
Right.
And then we're going to get into the right kind of referrals. Referral business is huge in this business, and if you're doing it right, all right? And then we're going to get into associations like BNIs, Chamber of Commerce, things you guys can do in your community to actually generate buzz for your business and customers for your business. And also, what we have on here is keeping your enemies close. And what we mean by that, some of you guys, I'm sure you know exactly what we mean, is partnering with your competitors. Making sure that you are using those guys as a piece for business generation. A lot of times what has happened in the past is people, they kind of shun their competition, but we always advise people to embrace your competition, right?
Exactly.
And we'll talk more about that as we move on down. And then, this is really cool, we're going to have a special guest tonight, guys. His name is Frank Smith. Some of you guys probably have heard of him. Some of you guys probably haven't. Frank Smith is a co-owner, operator of Gearvana, which is a very, very successful repair facility. And what he's going to be doing is he's going to be sharing some of his expertise with us this week. He is a guy you want to listen to because he is a guy that some of you guys are aspiring to be, and some of you guys probably already are, all right? So what you can do is definitely learn from him. So we're going to have him. I'm going to kind of move out a little later on tonight. We're going to have him move in and talk about some of those things that we've actually just mentioned in terms of generating business, and ask him how he's actually applying those things and how it's affecting his business. So that'll be great. So we'll be pulling him in about 10-15 minutes after we get to what we're going to be talking about. Is there anything you want to?
No, I think you pretty much covered what it is. What I think we need to do is, for those of you that didn't join us last week or didn't get a chance to catch our webinar last week, let's just do a quick, not a long one today, but just a quick background on who we are and why maybe you should listen to what we have to say.
Right. So start?
Yeah.
All right. So I'm William Agnew. Some of you guys know me. Some of you guys don't. For you, those of you who don't, I am the instructor, dean of education here at Cellular Repair School. I've been working in the cell phone business and the industry for about 5 years. My history, my background is electronics. I love electronics. I have a master's in business, so business electronics. It just makes sense that I'm talking to you right now. All right, so that's the Reader's Digest. I'm going to leave it at that and pass it over to Josh and let him kind of introduce himself. And
and like I said, this is just going to be the Reader's the Cliff Notes version. So my name is Josh Gray. I am the founder of Cellular Repair School. I also have been in the cell phone repair business for about 5.5 years now. I'm a serial entrepreneur, you know, and pride myself on really making an impact in different industries and educating people to be able to do things inside of an industry that they find themselves wanting to join and make an impact in. So that's what we're here to do today, and today's topic specifically is how do you start doing that. So last week we gave you some tools on how you get out there, how you start doing repairs, some basic things to prove to yourself that you can make money doing this if you haven't done it before. For those of you that are doing it, of course, we got some more tools we're going to be sharing with you, and you're probably going to really get some jewels out of this conversation today. Right. So I think it's probably time for us to just go ahead and bring Frank on so we can get into the meat of it.
I think we should. And you guys, before we actually bring Frank on, remember, go ahead and get your questions. Go ahead and get your questions ready, because we're going to be answering those questions at the end of this broadcast also. So any questions you have, especially you guys who took the test drive and you have questions about that, we want to answer those questions too. And guys, this week we have another special that we're going to be offering you guys, so please stay around so you can see that special. Last week it was the free test. This week it's going to be something different. We always want to give you guys value and allow you guys to see why you should be looking into this industry and the potential it has. So let's go ahead and bring Frank on. So Frank,
come on in.
Come on in. Just duck the camera so you don't knock it down.
Let everybody see that ball spot you got going on back there.
So you want to switch with
me?
It
doesn't matter.
You go ahead and have a seat right there. Yeah.
All right.
So Frank.
So again, Frank is the CEO of Gearvana. He's actually my business partner in that side of the business. We have a retail business together that we've been expanding over several years, and we really use it for our research and development to be able to bring you guys all the updated curriculum and different things that you need, so you know that what we teach is always going to be current, and what we talk about is real world stuff. This is not just classroom. We come up with this.
Right. It's applied. It's applied science.
Yeah, this is real world stuff. So Frank is he's the mad scientist behind all of the retail side. Right. So do you want to just give everybody a little background on who you are and why they should listen to you?
So, well, like Josh said, I am the better half of the partnership.
I didn't say all that now.
Oh, yeah. So basically, I've been an entrepreneur for a long time. I just got into this business probably about 5.5 years ago as well. I've been working with Cellular Repair School also and some of their curriculum and things like that. Running the shop for 5 years, I've ran into a lot of different problems. And so listening to what I have to say is going to save you time, money, and a lot less headaches. You probably, you might end up like Josh. You might lose some hair or whatnot over the course of the year.
Well, they saw the back of your head.
Yeah, you did. If I came down there, you might have seen that bald spot. So it does take a lot of difficulties and things like that to run a successful business. So, but why you should listen to me, okay? If you guys are interested in doing, I would say, anywhere from $30,000 to $50,000 a location, or if you're just starting getting into the market and doing something mobilely, you want to kind of, jumpstart, do anywhere from $4,000 to $8,000 and then get to that point where you're doing $15,000, $20,000. I can help you with that. I've done it with other companies beforehand. I've also gone into some coaching and things like that for other companies to kind of help them do it as well. So what I've done is I've proven it in my own business, so I know it's just not me as a person that's making all these.
It's not a fluke.
It's not a fluke,
right?
And it's not just me
right.
that's making that happen. It's actually systems and putting things into place and doing things. What you guys were getting ready to talk about, the power of like no-cost marketing, and the power of very expensive marketing.
Right. Well, yeah. And if we get some time, I want to talk about that, or maybe we save that for next week, right?
There's a lot of things that go into it, and I've learned a lot over the years. And if I knew what I know today, it would have took me a lot quicker to get to that point where I was generating income. You know, everybody, I'm sure, let's throw the question out there. I want you guys to participate. Does $30,000 to $50,000 sound like something you guys want to do? Does that interest you guys?
Right. I'm curious and we're talking specifically one retail location.
One retail location.
Right. One retail location. Correct. So you can imagine if you have 10, 15, 20, 25 locations,
exactly.
You know, you should be able to do that. So, you know, and I agree, and I think everybody's is striving to obviously get there. Right. I mean, no matter what end of the spectrum you're on, everybody's striving to get more business.
For sure.
So let's dive into the content now. I think it's time for us to dive right into it.
Now, because can I ask this question before we get into that? It's both perspectives, right? It's the retail perspective,
right?
And then there's a different perspective also.
There's mobile as well. There's
right.
Mobile.
Yeah. People work from home and things like that.
People work from home, and I've helped both. So it's not just I've helped people start from actually in their house. They weren't even doing it mobilely. They were doing it like, you know, out of a room. They had a spare room or whatnot, and then they were able to kind of take that and get what we call a brick and mortar location.
Absolutely.
So we've done it.
Right.
Right.
We've got the secret sauce.
Exactly.
Right.
So what we want to talk about today specifically is, you know, a lot of people are working on stringent budgets.
Right.
Right. And when it comes to marketing, and by the way, guys, we probably drive this home all the time, but I'm going to continue to do that because it's that important. You are not in the cell phone repair business. Cell phone repair is what we do. You are in the marketing business. If you're going to be in this as an entrepreneur, whether you're a store owner, whether you own 100 locations, whether you are just starting out and you're trying to get some repairs done just on the side to earn some extra money, marketing is the lifeblood of your business. So what we want to talk about specifically today is some low cost and really effective ways to do that. Because obviously everybody can go to the high cost things.
Right.
You know, so I think there's a time and a place to talk about when those are effective. But today, it's the low cost stuff, right? So Craigslist is kind of where we left off at from our last webinar that me and Will had together. Mm-hmm. And we gave them a tool, you know, as far as teaching them a little bit about Craigslist and how to post ads. Mm-hmm. But what we didn't talk to them about is how it can impact their business and, you know, how often they need to post and how competition can affect you and what you can expect to get from Craigslist, even if you're in a rural area or maybe a large metropolitan area.
Let me say this. What Craigslist can do is it's not really how it is how it impacts the business, but a lot of the people that are on here are probably startups or whatnot. So I want to say how Craigslist can jumpstart your business. There is a lot of individuals that I worked with beforehand that they absolutely had no budget. They may have been working anywhere from $1,000 to $5,000. You know, so the question was, well, how do I get my name out there and how do I advertise? Craigslist is one of the kings of free advertising. Yeah. So in order to do that, you have to be able to do it effectively. Okay. There was a company that I was doing consultation for. And what they were doing is they started doing, they opened up their doors, and they took some training from us. And what had happened was they were like, Frank, I need your help. I was like, well, what's going on? They're like, you know what? I've been in business for 3 weeks, and I've only fixed 15 phones.
Right. Yeah, we got a problem.
They're like, I know how to do the repairs,
right,
but I don't have anybody to do repairs for.
Right.
So the first thing we talked about was, okay, well, how much money do you have? And he basically had nothing. So the second question was, well, how much time do you have? And he says, well, right now I'm not doing repairs.
Right. So I got plenty of time on my hands.
He's got plenty of time. So what we did was we created effective Craigslist ads. Okay. And I believe you guys, I think you shot one out last week.
Yeah, we gave them an example of a very effective.
Yeah, they had some back end
Craigslist
training.
ad. Yeah.
So that was one sample of what an effective Craigslist ad looks like. And what that can do is with any marketing, you have to do it for so long, and you have to do it consistently. The one thing with Craigslist is what you have to do, and you have to remember, depending on if you're in a metropolitan area or a small area, as soon as you post an ad, over time, that ad will go down to the bottom of the list, and now you're not first in mind. So what you have to do is you have to repost. And sometimes you can't repost that ad every day, so what you have to do is you have to have a series of ads. And I recommend having anywhere from 7 to 14, because what can happen is things can get flagged as well.
Right.
But the power of the Craigslist is this individual basically went from $0, and he started generating $8,000.
And this is just what Craigslist?
Purely Craigslist, and just a little bit of word of mouth, which we'll get into a little bit later here.
Right. Exactly.
But purely Craigslist, it was about $8,000.
Yeah, so that's significant.
Huge, because it was free.
Right.
It's a huge return on your investment, because all the investment was time at that point.
Right.
Now, let me ask you this, Frank. Why do you think people have a bad, they look for free, with free marketing? Sometimes people look at free marketing as it's not very good because it's free. How can you debunk?
Well, I would say here's what happens is sometimes, as everybody heard, is you get what you pay for.
Right.
And sometimes free is, what do you expect from free?
Right.
But the best thing about Craigslist is it's not really, it's an organization.
Mm-hmm.
It's not an e-commerce site. So people go there for deals, and you're going to get a different type of demographic, a different type of customers from Craigslist, but it is a good way to jumpstart your business to get revenue.
Right.
That's a whole nother webinar all on its own too.
Right.
And it depends on what your value proposition is too. We could talk about that. You have to have some sort of value proposition on your Craigslist ads, other than just
I fix
price.
Right. I fix phones, cheap fix
phones.
But you can compete on price.
Be your value proposition.
We always try to stress to everybody that it's hard, because this business is commoditized in some consumers' minds.
Right.
But realistically, if you set your business up properly and you do what you need to do to connect with your consumers, you don't have to necessarily compete on price, right?
You don't. And it depends on what your value proposition is.
Right.
Let's take, for instance, you say, hey, I guarantee X, or I give free accessories, or I give free screen protectors, or I give you a free 6-month warranty. These are things that you can do, because some of the depending if you're working from home or whatnot, some of the hurdles that you're going to accomplish or need to overcome is legitimacy, right? So you have to do something to let people know, because I make a joke on some of the Craigslist ads, depending on what your value proposition is the tail light warranty.
Right.
So what customers are worried about is after you do a repair, as soon as they see the tail lights
disappear,
the
warranty's over with.
Your warranty's expired.
Right. Right.
So you have to set up a really good expectation, and you have to talk about your business and a little bit about that in your little Craigslist ad if you don't have a brick and mortar. Okay?
Right.
If you're mobile or you're working from home, you need to sound like, hey, you're this most legitimate and honest place to kind of do business.
Right.
And one recommendation I want to throw out there is, what you don't want to do is put your home address on there. Okay. So there's some other creative things that you can do, that I've helped people with kind of overcome that, because that can be a security hazard as well.
Absolutely.
I've heard of somebody actually getting robbed on Craigslist because of they're getting all these phones and things like that, because phones is a hot commodity right now.
Right.
So always safety first.
Yeah.
Safety first.
Yeah.
Think about what you're putting on Craigslist. It's almost like putting yourself on blast out there, and everybody has that accessible information.
Yeah.
Right?
What I want to mention is, I remember just to kind of drive home the power of Craigslist is, I remember having several conversations with you about individuals that we've coached or students that got into the business that literally were generating 100% of their business on Craigslist.
That's it.
Just using Craigslist.
Yes.
Right?
And that is putting all your eggs in one basket.
Right. Which we don't recommend.
But it works.
Right.
It works. And what happens is even if people, this may sound unreal, but I know individuals that was generating $15,000. Actually, it was a competitor / friend of ours, or acquaintance. So strictly off of Craigslist, $15,000 a month, and But here's the thing that you have to worry about. It's a great way to keywords is jump start your business and then actually start adding on to that and to build and some of these things and subjects that we'll
right.
get
And
into.
one of the things that I was coaching you guys about using Craigslist effectively, if you did the test drive last week, which you would have seen, is it's very similar to using PPC on Google, right? Or or SEO. Everybody knows what SEO is, and the way you can really drive your Craigslist ads to the top is to keyword load them. Right, so you can do it in multiple ways, and if you actually go back and dissect that free training that we gave you, you'll see that there was keywords loaded into that training or into that sample post, which really what I would want you to do is modify that, and you want to create 15 different versions of it. Now, you don't want to just use the same. You can't use the same words over and over again. You have to rewrite your sentences. It's got to be about 25 to 30% different, so Craigslist doesn't automatically flag it. And in fact, one thing that I typically recommend is setting up multiple Craigslist accounts.
You can do that
right?
as well.
So you're not posting multiple times a day, every day of the week from all these different accounts.
Right.
And what's interesting, one thing I want to point out, what's interesting about free resources or even low-cost resources is there's always a trade-off, right? Because it's time. So usually the more you spend on things, the less time you have to invest in using them, right? You can just kind of reap the benefits and field the calls.
Right.
When it's free or low cost, it's very time intensive for you to get going and to get it to take effect.
Yeah, and Craigslist as an organization isn't stupid. They really don't want you as a business to be flooding the Craigslist space with just your advertisement, or they'll consider it spam. So that's one of the things with the free marketing is you have to learn ways to kind of get around it, and that's what Josh is talking about. One of the ways is kind of set up multiple email accounts so you can start flooding it from different accounts.
From different angles, right?
So
different ads from different accounts.
So this way, if one account gets flagged, what happened to me personally is I started talking. I had the advantage. I had a brick and mortar, so what I did was I spit venom on everyone that was doing it from home or mobile. Nothing against that, but it was a sales tactic for me to kind of, make the legitimacy. Don't go to the mom and pop or go to somebody that's going to be here in business or whatnot. So what happened was all those mom and pops got to the point where they're like, you know what? We're going to flag this guy every time we see him. So they actually got together and started flagging my Craigslist account to where I couldn't even post anything. And the only way I could post something was it had to be very simple, and then I had to create different accounts and things like that. But that's the point where we have to talk about is, hey, don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Right, and with that,
be very careful with the messages too, because you don't want to be poking the bear, right? Because if you poke the bear, it can, come back to bite you.
We've suffered that.
Which it did.
We've suffered that.
I think you're saying don't put all your eggs in one basket. It's a great transition into the next, because we spent quite some time on Craigslist. So if you guys have any more questions about Craigslist,
well, we'll take that at the end.
Yeah, we'll take that at the end. Again, I just want to reinforce the fact that we're focusing on these low costs for you guys, specifically you guys who are money cautious and need to find some very low cost ways to generate traffic. So, moving on to the next topic.
Yeah, another thing, Yelp. Another thing I like to talk about is Yelp. It can be very powerful, both good and bad.
Right.
So you want to be ready. Start with Craigslist. That's a nice segue to kind of get into the industry, get into marketing, see what works, see how your communication is with your customers, see how you're actually dealing with your business before you actually delve right into Yelp.
Well, the challenge with that is your customers force you into Yelp.
Sometimes a customer can force you.
Yeah. If they have a bad experience, or even if they have a fantastic experience, they're going to force you into Yelp. Well, they're going to go, if you don't have a Yelp account, they're going to go create an account for you.
Yeah. So
So you have to claim it and maintain that. And what I wanted to say specifically about Yelp is I was talking to Will about that this morning, is for those of you guys out there that aren't aware of the power of Yelp, Yelp is actually the second largest gathering source and aggregator of business information on the planet, second only to Google, right? So a lot of people don't like to deal with Yelp because it's a hassle. you know, and we'll get into some horror stories of Yelp.
Right.
But if you take that, I just want to reiterate that, because what that means for you is you have a potential advertising method if you wanted to advertise on there, but you have a method to get your business out there and really start to generate business based on keywords, again, that you put into your name and your description when you post your Yelp posting, that can generate tremendous amounts of traffic for you. In fact, there's some companies, there's a kind of a major mobile-based company out there now, and they're pretty much 100% Yelp-based. They don't do a whole lot of other advertising.
Right. There's a lot of companies that are out there now that are doing it, and what you have to do is you have to set, it's like anything else, you have to do it correctly. You have to set your Yelp account up right. You have to make sure your categories and subcategories are correct, because there's actually a cell phone repair category on there, and it's not easy to find. I mean, it's kind of mixed in with all these. I think it was like under IT technical services or something like that, with the cell phone repair category is. But the big thing about Yelp is you're going to generate a lot of traffic because it's next to Google. Also, Apple is linking their Siri. So if you do a search with Siri right now, and you say, hey, cell phone repair, it's going to aggregate cell phone repairs searches based on the actual star rating that Yelp has.
That's right.
So any iPhone or Apple user that does a search, you better have a good Yelp rating.
Right. Otherwise, you're not going to come up.
Or you might come in at the bottom.
Right.
That's true. And a good point to make with that also is searches, in terms of percentages, are going up more and more from mobile devices.
It is. Right. I think it's like
63% right now. Yeah. So think about that. That's a little different topic, but what we've been saying as we do research more and more in the industry is that last year it was only like 32% of all internet searches were mobile based. People looking from tablets or cell phones. And as of this year so far, last quarter, we're up to 63%. 63% of searches right now are mobile-based. That's huge. That's a huge transition.
That is huge.
And specifically, that's even cell phone repair.
Right.
Right. So that means people with broken cell phones are looking on their cell phone.
But that's
cell phone repair.
But that's good, because it shows that this industry is growing.
That's right.
Right. And that's one thing it shows. So.
Well, let me tell you. Yeah, let me tell you some horror stories. I'm gonna tell you the good, the bad, and the ugly.
I want to hear some pretty too.
The great thing about Yelp is it's a no-brainer. You got a 5-star rating, you're going to generate traffic. It's not easy to do. But let me tell you what happens if you start destroying your Yelp presence, and it will take away a percentage of your business. If you, let's say, take for instance, you were doing $20,000 a month, okay, and then you started getting a bad Yelp review, and then you started losing sales. You're like, oh my God, when I'm at 15,000, I just lost $5,000, and you go back and you see in bad reviews. That's going to be it. The bad reviews, people are going to start not coming to you because most of the searches are mobile. Now Siri, especially even Siri, that's going to that, and you're not even coming up.
Yeah, I mean that's huge that they tied in with Apple on that. Yeah.
So that's the bad thing. The bad thing is that can completely. It can put you out of business. It can make things very difficult.
Well, let's talk about why that is a difficulty though, because realistically, from the consumer's point of view, it's a good thing. Right, because
it is.
A business that's doing a really good job should have a higher rating. I tell you, I'm guilty of this when it comes to going out to eat. Right? When I'm in a new city, when I'm traveling somewhere, I don't go to places that have 3-star below ratings. I look for large amounts of reviews and a really good rating for me to try it, unless I'm in a small town where there's no choices.
Well, here's what the businesses have to do, and this is from first-hand experience. You could do a phenomenal job and be knocking it out the park and actually doing more numbers than your competition, right? But the only person that's going to leave a review, if you're not actively asking for good reviews,
the upset customers.
Are the upset customers.
That's right.
And that could be like less than 0.5%.
Right.
But that 0.5%
has the squeaky wheel gets the oil, right?
Completely destroy your reputation. Right. So you almost have to. Yelp is one of those things you have to be actively engaged with the customer. Right. Leave me a review. And just because you ask for it, they ain't going to do it.
Right.
You have to give some sort of incentive or something.
Well, and I tell you, Yelp actively discourages you from asking for reviews, though.
Yeah, I understand.
Right. Which is difficult in our space, particularly. I get it for restaurants.
Yeah.
Because you know, you have a lot of repeat business in restaurants, and people, if you're eating at a restaurant, you're usually going to come back to me. What's the lifetime value of you as a customer to me as a restaurant?
Right.
It's thousands of dollars, right? For us, how many times is the same customer coming back to get something repaired?
Maybe 2 or 3 times,
right,
if they have multiple devices,
right,
depending on what your menu of services
exactly.
are.
So what that shows is that the opportunity with Yelp is large. But I've seen a couple of comments on the chat roll here of people like, man, I hate Yelp. You know, and it's like, and I get it, because usually it's the upset customer. You can have thousands of customers that are happy.
It
is so tough. It is so tough, and I feel you. Whoever said that, bam!
Well, you know, it's funny because I tell students every week that, you know, bad reviews are literally equal to someone standing in front of your store
and picketing
with a picket sign.
That's true.
I mean, it's the same equivalence, because it's the same.
That's true, man.
It's almost the same. It's
but you can't run them all.
You can't run them all.
You
know, no lottery here, but yeah.
Yeah, and the thing about Yelp too is they have that the filtering system that is not always necessarily fair. So you absolutely have to try and get as many people to participate in Yelp as you can, because some of those good reviews that are real reviews fall into the
right. They'll get filtered out where they won't show.
That won't show. You'll get lucky if the bad ones go in there.
Right.
But typically,
yeah, it's usually the good ones that end up being filtered.
The good ones are the ones that are in there,
right,
you know, and then it's all the bad ones that are there. And Yelp is a difficult thing, but it is powerful. Now, as business owners, we tend to be like, you know what, that is so hard, and we tend to, you know, not like Yelp or whatever. But you know what?
Yeah.
We have to embrace it.
We have to.
Right.
Because Yelp,
it's not going anywhere.
Yeah, it's not going anywhere, and you have to play the game.
Yeah,
and
we tried. We tried.
Yeah,
we tried to get rid of Yelp.
Yeah, and you know what? And we tried to game Yelp. Not really, but I mean, here's the thing with Yelp. You have to be proactive.
Right.
You have to be proactive with the customer to leave good reviews, because it only takes a little bit of time. And that's what tends to happen is people overlook these little tiny small things that can add value and revenue to their business and overlook them. And what ends up happening is those real small things that ends up destroying it. So, and another thing too, is talking about a little bit about customer service, is you can avoid a lot of bad Yelp reviews, even if the customer is dead wrong, getting over on your company. Leave it alone and give them whatever they want.
Well, it's about the value, right? It's like, how valuable is that bad review versus that one customer?
That bad review is going to cost you thousands of dollars.
Right.
Absolutely.
Even if the customer wants you to get them a used phone or whatever that may cost you a couple $100, do it.
Yeah.
Just do it, because I've made the mistake in the past being like, you know what, I'm right. This is completely wrong. The customer is this, the customer is that. And then they go out there and put you on blast on Yelp and completely slander you and lie about what actually happened.
It happens.
Doesn't matter.
Right. And it does happen.
All the public's going to look at that and be like, oh my God, this big bad company did that for this.
That's true, man.
And then, so now you're looking like the bad guy, and they're like, oh man, I never bought this place.
Right.
Or you have other customers that come in and it's like, oh man.
Right.
Yeah.
And what I'll tell you, the thing that I noticed in our history, mistakes we made with Yelp, and what I see a lot of small businesses, even large businesses, make this mistake, is not taking the time to reply to publicly reply to bad, reviews, because you can private message people, but sometimes it's good to reply, and you got to take that and be careful about it, though.
PC.
Right? Yeah, you don't want to reply to it and totally try to discount everything they said, even though they could be totally, a
filthy liar,
bat poop crazy, right? And I prefer to use a different word, you know what I'm saying? But, realistically, sometimes having a bad review and having the business owner or some representative from the company reply to it in a very, genuine way adds credibility to your business. Right. Because people take time. The one thing I'll tell you, and I'm not alone in this, I don't even read good reviews. I read the bad reviews, right? Because I want to see if I agree with what they're saying or if those are hot buttons for me to worry about, right? Good reviews are good reviews. You don't know if they're real or not in the consumer's mind.
I never believe good reviews. I always think that's a sham. I mean, but Google and Yelp are getting better at it.
Yeah, I mean, they're great about it.
You can't.
Right, but the average consumer doesn't know that.
Yeah, you really can't game the system anymore. So, example, a really good example of replying to a customer and things like that that left a bad review. Good way to do it is say, hey, look, sorry about the bad experience. We'll offer you a full refund and do whatever publicly. We're striving to do our best. We're going to make corrections and things like that. Please give us another chance to earn your trust again or whatnot. So you have to throw your pride and everything down on the line publicly and let them know. So at least what happens there at that point, a possible customer could say, you know what, they did wrong, but what they're trying to do is make it up. So I'm going to go try this place because I can see right here this owner, management, whomever that's in charge of this company is attempting to correct it and even give a full refund or whatnot, or even do whatever. So now that bad review allows you to show that other potential customers can still have confidence in your company.
It could have just been an honest misunderstanding.
Right.
Which does happen every day, right?
Oh, communication in today's day and age, I don't think people, unless for text messaging.
Right. So we need to kind of move the topics along because we're getting a little long-winded.
But I do want to say one thing you have to, and one thing you guys need to understand about your customers in this industry is they have a very, very high level of expectation. That's one thing that's always consistent with customers in this industry. So that kind of comes with the business.
Well, and
you know what I mean? It kind of comes.
I mean, when you think about why, right? When you go out to eat or something like that, you're excited to go. Right? You're looking forward to it. Getting your device repaired, you're already pissed off that you even have to go. You have to take time out of your day to deal with it.
And those guys are getting charged an arm and a leg.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, because some of these things are expensive now. Right. So these customers are like, man, I didn't know these phones cost $600. When I signed up for this contract, it was only $99.
The customer, like you said, it's an inconvenience, right? I mean, your customers are already kind of upset that they had to inconvenience themselves to be there in the first place.
Right.
So it's not like they're like, yeah, I get to get my phone fixed today. I often compare it to like purchasing tires, right? Who's excited when they have to go buy new tires for their car or their truck?
Yeah.
And it's almost the same.
Not unless I'm getting some new wheels.
Exactly. So they're already in that kind of mind state, whereas this is an inconvenience for me. And then at the same time, they have, like I said, a high level of expectation of what the result is going to be, right? How fast can you do it? How much does it cost, right? When can I have it done? Right. So you have to deal with that right off the top.
So to close this up with the Yelp section, I want to put this out there to everyone. When a customer comes in, you need to set realistic expectations.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
That's right. And go the extra mile.
Yeah.
Right? One thing we always like to say is under promise, over deliver, right? And that'll keep you out of a lot of hot water, and it makes you a hero in your customers' minds.
Exactly.
Right? So moving on, hopefully you guys got a little bit of jewels out of Yelp. Use it, embrace it, take some time to go out there and really analyze how to make your Yelp profile great, and focus on delivering great customer service, and it will be a profit generator
for you. Use it. Don't abuse it. Right. It will abuse you.
So the next thing we want to talk about is referrals. So we talked about Craigslist. We talked about Yelp. Referrals. So tell us a little bit about referrals and educate us on that.
Okay.
Networking ninjutsu.
Networking ninjutsu. Right. So basically what that is here locally, and I think this is a nationwide, I just recently attended one of these. It's called a business networking group. It's called BNI. You guys might want to Google it if it has it in your area. Attend them. It's not absolutely free, but it's such a nominal cost. I consider it free, because what it is you get to attend these meetings, and each chapter only has one business that is alike. So guess what?
So you're the only
There's probably going to be no cell phone repair guys.
Right.
So you get to get your foot in the door with these businesses, and what they work on is strictly referrals for each other.
Right.
So I mean, there could be a guy in there with activation stores, things of that nature. There could be, let's say, real estate agents is a great source. People who live, eat, and breathe off of their phone. Literally. Lawyers and things of that nature. These are all networking things that you can do to help bolster your business.
Right.
And what that does is everybody knows somebody with a cell phone, so it is easy to say, oh, I see your cell phone's broken. Here, this guy can help you fix it.
Right.
So that's one of the things here too. There's another thing that we can talk about is networking with other corporations or complementary businesses.
Right.
And
well, that's the next topic, right?
Yeah,
which is keeping your enemies close.
Right.
Right.
But they kind of.
It segues, but I want to bring it back because one thing we touched on last week, and I think more and more people who are getting into the space are starting to understand, is the power of not just chasing retail customers, but building, business to business clients.
Actually,
so what's great about those chamber mixers and the BNIs, and I mean, there's literally hundreds of business networking groups on a local level. And what's great about those is because it gives you the opportunity to, you might be talking to some guy who has a broken phone in his pocket, fine, but that's not your objective there.
Yeah.
You got 2 points, right? You're going there to let them know what you do, right? And you're going there to potentially, like you said, I mean, I've met tons of lawyers and people that actually had a pretty large, 50 to 60 phones within their company.
And let me tell you,
we were able to go out and get their accounts because of that.
The story too is I actually got the local post office by going to one of those. The guy was, I really don't even know why he was there. I think maybe he was there to kind of help people use USPS over FedEx or whatnot. I believe that's what his mission was. But come to talking to him, it's like Josh was saying, a lot of these business owners, they provide phones. Most companies nowadays provide phones for their employees, so what you want to do is you want to get those accounts. I was doing basically one of the local post offices and all their phones. And that customer, and you got to think about it, every time you try and acquire a customer, that customer that you acquire costs money.
That's right.
But when it comes to acquiring a business, it costs a lot less because that business is going to give you 10 to 100 times fold on what a single customer is going to do because it's constant. And you get a handful of those businesses, that's 4 or 5 or even sometimes $10,000 a month that you can count on because of the turnover.
Right.
Numerous businesses. We had a construction company at one point in time. They were great. They continually broke phones.
Yeah.
So it was.
And I remember those. That was and that was the Casio G Zone, the unbreakable phones.
Supposed to be the unbreakable phone.
Right.
There was a hospital. We got a hospital at one point in time because people, nurses or doctors or whatnot, the hospitals provided phones because they were on call. These are things, phones or communication devices that they had to have up and going because it was part of the job. So if you find those businesses that they have to have those handsets in operation, they're going to use your service, especially if you get it the same day.
I've met tons of business owners that are specifically in the restaurant industry at those sorts of mixers, especially the commerce mixers, the Chamber of Commerce mixers. Mm-hmm. And what's great about restaurants is most of them are going to tablets for the point of sale systems now.
That's another.
So it's a tremendous business opportunity. So I want you guys to kind of start thinking outside of the box. When you go to these things, you're not going there to meet Larry, the insurance guy. Right, you're going there. Nothing against Larry.
The insurance guy give you business too, but the main goal is let's get the bigger business.
Right.
Let's focus on who's going to bring you the most money. Larry, the cable guy, or Larry's cable company.
Right. Exactly.
So that's what you want. You want
the
company.
The second part of networking. Now we drive home all the time. Anybody who's took any of our classes up to this point knows this already. But for some of you out there who haven't, the other part of networking is the power of referrals from your T-Mobiles.
Yeah, that's what I was actually going to get into as a complementary business is anything that's complementary to your business. Activations, if you're doing consoles, the GameStops.
Till this day, a lot of people are afraid to go in and talk to the GameStops because, they're like, oh, GameStop does repairs or GameStop buys consoles and things like that. It's like you'd be surprised that they really don't do the things that you know how to do.
And here's what it is. It's about building relationships with those people that you go to. Don't just stop by, hi, I'm Frank Joe Bob, and I fix cell phones. Here's some cards. That's not how it works. You go in there, hey, tell them what you do, spend a little time with them. Hey, I can help your customers. I'm here to make your customers happy.
You're complimentary
to keep them gaming, to keep them in your contract, to keep them talking on the phone.
And that's huge what you just said too, because some of you out there might have activation businesses. Mm-hmm. It becomes a little more challenging if you do activations. For us, we've always done just repairs, so it's a very easy conversation,
Right.
because I'm not trying to steal your customers.
Yeah.
I'm here to help you keep your customers.
Your complimentary
right?
business. Yeah.
I don't want your customer to go buy the $99 phone from your competition.
Right.
I want them to come to me so I can fix it and they can continue their contract.
And honestly, that's what they see when a customer comes to them and they ask them, hey, I have a phone. It's broken. Can you help me? Right? Naturally, people want to say, yes, I can. Right? But they can't. But they want to give you an option. Right? And if they have an option in their head and they know that, hey, Joe's repair shop is down the street, then probably 9 times out of 10 they're going to say, hey, I'm probably not supposed to tell you this, but take it down to Joe's.
That's exactly what happens, because really what happens is a lot of these places like AT&T's, GameStop's, T-Mobile's, or whatever, even if they're corporate or privately owned, they're there to sell activations and renew a contract.
Mm-hmm.
But there is many times that what happens is the customer's like, I'm in my contract 1 month, and I don't have $400 to spend on a phone. And it finally gets to that point where it's exactly what Will was talking about. I'm not supposed to tell you this, and they slip him a card.
Right.
But here you
all
go.
the time.
Here you go. Go down.
All the time.
Go down to this repair shop and they'll get you taken care of. One example is I made my guys go to GameStop. Like, we can't take cards. We can't take cards. Some of them would. Some of them wouldn't. Got to the point where they were taking the cards, but they had a meeting. Corporate had a meeting, or a regional meeting, specifically saying, do not take cards from these guys anymore. We are not affiliated with them. We cannot promote them. We cannot do whatever. Here's what happened. Not a damn thing. They kept taking the cards.
Right.
Because I built that relationship with them. I'd come in. I'd bring them pizza.
And
hey guys,
I was just about to say,
donuts.
You
would be
Here's
surprised.
Some cards and pizza.
You would be surprised how far something like
a box of donuts,
a couple boxes of donuts, or a couple of Little Caesars pizzas,
$5
right?
pizza.
Yeah, pizza.
Yeah.
How far that stuff goes, because it brings a lot of value to those guys. Sometimes they feel underappreciated, and they really want to help their customer.
And it keeps you top of mind also.
Right.
So it keeps you top of mind.
Right.
So we got about 10 minutes. Well,
so we want to move to the
10
next
minutes.
topic, right? Which was keeping your enemies close.
Yep. So we want to hold this one kind of short. We got about 5 minutes left.
Okay.
So, yeah, but keeping your enemies close, your competition.
Here's an example of that. I always talk to all my competition, and that's part of the reason why I know so much what people do. Sometimes I give them coaching. It's because I'm very open about what I do, and then they start to open up about what they do. So it gives me insight on what their company's doing and what their pain points are. So if you know what your competition pain points are, you might be able to help them with that and capitalize on it. One guy's like, man, I get charge reports over here, and I said, well, what do you do with them? He's like, I just send them away. Of course he wasn't referring them to me, you know what I mean, because he doesn't want to give business.
Right.
But I said, what if I can do your charge reports that you get at a discount?
Right. Let you mark them up.
Right.
And make money
exactly.
on it.
So now at that point, my store was making money off of the competition of things that they couldn't do. I've had business owners come in of other cell phone repair shops that just don't do soldering, and that's what we did. We just did soldering for them. Prime example, there was a time in the industry where, if you guys remember what the HD2 was, right? There was people that
you're taking it back.
Yeah, there was people that said you could not separate. Now we know what lens separation is now.
Right.
Now that's legitimate.
Right.
That's legit.
But how long did we say it wasn't possible?
So here's what happened with the HD2. That wasn't even a fused together LCD digitizer combo. We figured out how to do it. And what happened was our competition was still charging more, but we were doing the repairs and still making money. See, we were capturing business from all our competition to the point where we had our hands in almost everything. So they're making money. My company was making money, and they were all happy. Right. And now you get to the point where, look, Frank, how can I help? How can you help me with this, or what else can we do to kind of make money? Now what happens is it creates opportunity.
It creates opportunity
for more things.
Exactly.
So,
right.
And if you get in a jam, for you guys that don't not carrying a whole lot of inventory, I could call it. You know what, man? I just ran out of some stuff. Got to get some inventory for it. Oh yeah, no problem. Come on down. And they sell it to you at cost. Even sometimes I would still mark my parts up and sell it to them. They would still sell it to me at cost because of the value that I was providing for these guys.
Right.
So don't be afraid of talking to your competition. There is truly enough business for everyone. You just want to be doing the majority. You want to be doing 80% of the business and let those guys have the 20%.
That's right. I just want to respond. We're not in the Q&As yet, but Josh, man, you're killing it on the forums right now. I'm paying attention to him out here. He's got a lot of great information, and he made a post just now saying that for repairs, the future is board level repairs and doing more advanced things, and that shops that can't do that will fail.
Exactly.
And we 100% agree with that.
Come to us, guys.
Right. And we'll talk about that, but 100% because we were in the business before glass was even really an option. Man, I was fixing phones before there was a smartphone.
Right. Yeah.
So
V3s.
Yeah.
V3.
Yeah, V3 flips, and we actually were making a lot more margin on the repairs because it was mostly labor. Like now everybody who watches a YouTube video thinks they can do the repairs. There's so much more to the repair business. So I didn't want to interrupt that. I just want to give a shout out to Josh real quick because he's holding it down on the forum.
I want to piggyback on that too. We get a lot of students in class who are in the cell phone repair business. They've been in it for a while. But they're exactly like Frank said. They don't know how to do certain level repairs, such as soldering, right? That soldering, that board level stuff. And quite often they get so tired and burnt out of sending that stuff out, right? Because number one, it costs them more money to do. Right, the time is increased as far as TPT throughput time, and getting it back to their customers. So they're like, you know what? I'm so tired of doing this. I've been doing it for so long. I decided to come to you guys to understand and learn how to do soldering. So just wanted to put that out there.
Right,
talking about
it's true. It's true, right? So
taught a lot.
I want to keep it on topic though.
Sure.
So was there anything else that we wanted to add? Because we had a couple of comments and we're going to be taking you guys. In fact, let me step back 1 second. Go ahead, because there is a little delay between what we see and what you see. Go ahead and start posting your questions because we're going to start rolling up into our Q&A section. We're going to be taking your questions about anything in the industry, anything at all, guys. We're going to be answering those questions here. You got specific questions for Frank.
You got questions about the training last week or the test?
Now's your time to start posting those.
Now's your time to start asking about that.
But before we move into Q&As, is there anything else you wanted to talk about as far as partnering with your competition? Any other jewels or nuggets you can think of that we didn't touch on?
Another thing as well too is partnering with your competition, depending on what you want to do and what you want to accomplish. Is you have to be more knowledgeable basically in the business than your competition, because you won't be able to take advantage of these things.
That's right.
If you're just doing digitize with LCDs and just swap Tronic.
Yeah, that's true. Your competition, they're going to look down at you. They don't need you.
Yeah, they do that too. But if you actually provide value, here's a prime example. A friend / acquaintance used to be a competitor. We put the individual out of business, okay? He came to, we had a good relationship. He came to me. We did coaching, and I helped him. He paid me for my services, and I helped him. He actually went to another one of our competitors, is making $70,000 a year. So by being close to your competition or providing value, there's still other opportunities out for you. Because even take, for instance, if you're struggling in your business, you still have a lot of value as a knowledgeable
That's right, and that's a good point, because we've seen a lot of students who struggle with the business aspect of it, but are technically sound.
Are incredible.
That's right.
So there's value there too, is you might be doing things for other businesses to the point where it might be easier and financially better for you to maybe go work for your competition.
That's right.
So it's not all about having your own business. It's all about taking advantages
of opportunities.
And your skill sets.
And your skill sets.
Right?
And your knowledge.
And your skill sets, absolutely. So one thing I want to mention, and then I'll let you, I know I've been kind of commandeering tonight, but one thing I want to mention is that we do have a special for you guys tonight, right? And then we'll get into the Q&A section. So for all our webinar attendees tonight, I don't know who of you, in fact, what I do want to do is make you aware of, on the right side, you should see polls. If you take a quick second to answer that poll, we just posted a poll to understand who's in the business, who's not in the business. Help us out, get a little information, because we want to understand how to start critiquing this information to help you guys more. So we'll wrap that poll up right before the end of it. But for attending tonight, did you have something you want to say?
Yeah, real quick too. Go ahead and say what you want to say, but I want to say something real quick. I don't want to interrupt.
Okay. Yeah, say for attending tonight, for all of you that haven't taken advantage of any of our training programs, if you were able to get the taste last week and do the 7-day test drive, obviously one thing you understood is we didn't give you the whole trainings. We just gave you one little sliver of it. So tonight, what we're going to do is we're going to make available a special. So normally our online training specifically is $797, which includes $230 worth of tools. Tonight and just through Sunday for all of our attendees and our webinar replay watchers, we're going to drop that price to $497. So it's a fantastic value, guys. $497 is going to get you an unlimited level of training. It's going to bring you through levels 1 all the way through the more advanced levels of 2 and 3. So you're going to learn liquid damage, the advanced board repairs we've been talking about, things like that. So, Will, did you already get that popped up for them?
No, you can go ahead and do it. I'm
Okay,
actually
go ahead
posting something.
So we'll get that showed up for you guys now.
And while they're doing that too, I've been branching off and doing a lot of coaching and consultation as well. So if any of you who are currently in the business or are looking to jumpstart your business, I do a lot of consulting for startups and people that are currently looking to add cell phone repair to their existing business to kind of jumpstart their revenues. Typically what I do as well is I typically do that for about $3,000. And I have about a 4-hour session that we break up into different pieces. I have a standard set plan, but also I do customize it to each individual's specific needs, depending on what stage they are in their business. If anybody is interested in that, I don't know if we have anything set up for that or not.
No, I know it was something we talked about right before the webinar.
Right.
But feel free to reach out to him. His email is...
it's Frank. Go ahead and reach out to me at frank@gearavana.com. Same thing. I'm going to extend what you guys did. I'm going to drastically reduce it. I'm going to do it for $1,000. Typically, it's $3,000, and typically I only take between 5 and 10 coachings a month. And right now I have about 6, so I only have 4 slots left. So what I'm going to do is, whoever is interested, I'm going to take the first 4 that send me an email or whatnot, and then I'll go ahead and get back to the first.
And then we'll send out some information to you guys as well. I'll have you just shoot me an email with a little bit, like a quick synopsis, and we'll include it in our replay for everybody who maybe, because not everybody's attending tonight. Some people had to watch the replay.
And ask me questions.
For sure.
Get the questions down. Ask me any questions that you guys have about either jumpstarting your business or the current material that we have. Because this is what I really want to talk about tonight. Is I want to help you guys make money.
Yeah, guys, if you really want to make a difference in your business, you want to talk to this guy. So if you're interested in that, send the email, because this guy knows what he's talking about, and he has information that will change your business.
Absolutely.
Without questioning. So did you post the link? Okay.
Yeah, I did.
All right. And
so we got the questions, first questions.
So we're gonna go ahead and wrap up the poll real quick before we do Q&As. Everybody, please go through. You'll see the tab at the top right. Click on polls and just answer that poll for us real quick. I'm going to close it up, and we should see the results of everybody who's on this webinar tonight. And let's go ahead and roll right into Q&As.
And before we do that, I want to tell you guys social networking. Our social networking sites, our Facebook page and our YouTube page. Be sure to sign up for those, guys. Just go. It's free. Subscribe. It's free information. Sometimes we put information on there that we don't put anywhere else. Whether it's training videos, or whether it's information about webinars, whatever the case may be. Just sign up to be sure you get that information. So our Facebook page, we can post that too, the link, so you guys can go right to it and just like it.
I'll post that right
and our YouTube page, we'll post that so you guys can go to it and just subscribe. Again, you can get a lot of good free information from those pages. So be sure to sign up for those social networking sites. And it is social networking, so you guys can talk to us and have that community.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So moving into Q&A. So
I'm going to go ahead and just real quick. I'm going to end the poll right now. Make sure if you haven't got your questions in, get them now, because we're going to start taking your questions and interacting with you guys live here to answer anything you got.
So Frank, you want to look here, see if you see any questions that actually.
Look here.
First one.
That's a pretty interesting one. You see this one?
How many lawyers and accountants did you go through to find people who
knew their stuff? So Josh, is it Josh? Selfproclaimed@gmail.com. How many lawyers and accountants did you go through to find people who knew their stuff?
Man,
I think it only took one time for me to get sued.
to know
that was not the right one. and find the right one.
Right.
So
I was going to answer it just about the same way.
One time.
Yeah, but thousands of dollars
Yeah,
worth. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, it only took me one mistake,
Yeah.
one time, and a lot of money. So,
Yeah. And realistically, though, I mean, let's clarify that. That wasn't being sued from a customer that was getting a cell phone repair done. Right. That was on the business building end of it.
That's very
important. And structuring the agreements with our, wholesale or the vendors we were working with and all that sort of stuff as far as our business contracts. That's where that stuff started to fall apart. So it wasn't retail consumer.
Yeah. It's very important to clarify that.
So I just want to clarify that specifically.
That hasn't happened yet. We'll see.
Never say never. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Keith is asking, when repairing a customer's cell phone, is there a contract of services rendered? I'm not real clear on what that is.
Let me kind of take a hit on this one here. I kind of see where you're going with this. Is like, anytime like on your receipt or whatnot, you have to have some sort of terms and conditions. Some of the terms and conditions. I think that might be more of what it really is, because it's almost like going to a mechanic. Okay.
Somebody actually wrote that.
you gotta pay for your services, and if you don't, I guess you don't get your phone back. But what I do in my business to kind of alleviate that issue is I make people pay up front.
Right.
They pay up front. There's always a charge for, even if it's non-repairable, there's always a charge for labor or whatnot, and that's how we do it. You just have to have some sort of disclaimer on your receipt that covers you. Once I put a disclaimer on my receipt, I've never had any issues with any customers about anything.
Once in a while, people who don't read the fine print.
Right, but when in doubt, remember what I said, guys. It's not worth it. Just refund the customer.
Right.
It doesn't happen very often, but you can't be a softie. You have to learn. There's a super fine line where you have to kind of know what your. I never want to use policies and procedures because I've heard this term. Our policy is to piss customers off, which is not, because if you start using well, it's not our policy. Yeah, that's going to pee them off real quick.
Right.
So what you want to do is you want to have guidelines on how you operate. So if you do have an upset customer, you can alleviate that issue and make sure that customer leaves happy.
Cool. We got another question here. I want to ask this one.
Okay.
Greg McCune says, what about these new wristwatches and the new phones with the bendable glass?
Right. Greg, what's going on, man?
Will these be the phones? Keep scrolling. Hold on. Will these be the phones of the future? And will we see anything on how to repair these?
I will say, man, I love these types of questions, because what I see in the industry all the time is, new Gorilla Glass coming out. It's going to be unbreakable. Gorilla Glass times 10. Things are going to break. Okay. Yeah. Even if it's flexible, there's trade-offs. Okay. So let's go back to old school where digitizers used to be plastic.
That's right.
They weren't breakable, but you know what? They bent, and the touch functionality failed. So you still have to replace them.
All the time.
The LCDs, I guarantee you, there's going to be some trade-off that makes that thing flexible. Now, it may be to the fact where it does flex and things like that, and it may not break as often. But believe me, it will break. Or what may happen, let's take for instance, it may flex, and what happens is it starts losing the color. Pixels start dying out. Exactly. So you have to replace the LCD with some other.
The wear and tear.
It's wear and tear and whatnot. And let me say this. Companies are not going to make a phone that is that good to where you don't have to buy another one.
Exactly. That's the first thing I thought about.
Nobody wants that thing to last forever.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. This is not a durable good. They're meant to go through like once a year. I mean, that's their business, is selling handsets. I mean, they don't want these things to last forever. They want the perceived perception of that thing lasting forever.
That's right. That's right. Sandro's asking, how much do you charge for labor if it's a non-repairable, repair, an average?
Okay. I always say as much as possible. But I'm going to give you a dollar figure, okay? So I used to charge $30, okay? And then on other devices I used to charge $40. But what I did was I tested it. In my demographic, in my market, I said, you know what, I'm going to do $40 and see what happens. So I charge $40, whether it's repairable or not, with the exception of my liquid damage repairs. It's a $49.95 fee, so $50 whether it's repairable or not. And as long as you give the realistic expectation and set the expectation up front on why it's that way, what you're doing, and how you're earning that, people don't care. They're fine with paying, because I always use that analogy. You're going to get what you pay for here, because a company that doesn't charge for labor, how much time do you really think they're going to spend to fix your phone if they're not getting paid for the time? What they're going to do is, for me, I make sure my technicians spend at least a half hour to an hour to make sure that they've exhausted every viable option there is to repair that customer's phone. And I tell that customer that same exact thing. A shop that does not charge for that type of labor or whatnot, they're going to go in, technician's going to look at it, not powering on, nothing we can do about it, and toss it to the side. So what that does is it costs the customer more money in the long run. It's not good. That's the value proposition that I use.
Excellent, excellent.
What else we got here?
I told you guys this guy knows what he's talking about.
Did you see another one there, Will?
Travis asked, Travis, he said, does the 497, just clarity, give him clarity.
Oh.
He said, does the 497 count towards the training, on-site training as well?
Yeah, and I did reply to him, but it was a private reply. Okay. So just for everyone, the special tonight, if you sign up for 497, absolutely, that will apply if you decide to take, just like our online classes always do, if you decide to take an on-campus class in the future, we will definitely give you dollar for dollar credit for your online training towards our on-campus program. So that 497 will definitely apply to the on-campus training as well. So
somebody wrote perfect answer.
Oh, I don't know.
With a smiley face.
I don't know if that was that. What's next?
I don't know if that was that. It just popped up though.
Yeah, there's a lot of activity on these forums. I like it, but it makes it hard to read all the Q&A.
It does. Yeah, you guys are asking some great questions.
Fantastic. Yeah, let's see what else. How do you determine repair costs by region? Keith asks.
Well, I wouldn't say by region. I would say what would be a better term is by demographic. Because the particular area that you're going to be in is what's going to kind of, and let me give you an example, okay? If you're in a heavily populated area that has a lot of pay per month carriers, you probably are not going to be able to charge as much as if you were in an area that is such as a Verizon. Because an individual that is pay-as-you-go doesn't have as much discretionary income as the individual that's paying for a service, because you get what you pay for, right? They have more discretionary income to pay for a service like Verizon or AT&T to get that phone that does what it needs to do. It's on the network that has the best service and whatnot, so you can charge more. What happened with me is I focused on, when I first started my business, is, let's say, nothing wrong with Cricket customers, so if you guys are using Cricket, nothing wrong with that. I don't want to offend anybody, but I was dealing with a lot of Cricket customers, right? They did not want to pay for anything. They didn't want to pay up front. They didn't want to pay the bench fee, which is for services even if it wasn't repairable. So I got to the point where I priced my services high enough to the point where those customers wouldn't even come to me, and I got the customers that were willing to pay for the value proposition. Right. You get what you pay for. They wanted the service. They wanted it 1 hour. I actually even charge, if you wanted it in an hour, I charge an extra fee for that, $25 additional. So those are the customers that I started getting. So to answer your question is, you almost have to do an A/B test and start high, because if you start low, it's very difficult to move up, and it was very difficult for me. So start at a higher point. You don't always have to take into consideration what your competition's doing, but kind of see where they're at. And you always want to I never try and charge, like take for instance, let's say Apple has their program, and let's say they're doing an iPhone 5 glass or iPhone 5S replacement for $150. You don't want to be at $150 because people are going to go with Apple, unless they want it now. So it's not a super simple, easy question to answer, but you almost have to play with it. If you guys ever want to take a look at some example pricing, go to gearvana.com.
Actually, shop.gearvana.com. Yeah.
And you guys can take a look at that and see what the pricing is.
Yeah, and we use that actually in a lot. I want to kind of step back one point in the question here, and it was a comment that you made earlier responding to someone else, and I want to take you guys kind of into business 101 on this topic. So Frank made a very important distinction about charging up front versus collecting phones and then getting paid later.
Right.
Right? So in every business, there's a cycle. It's called a receivable cycle. So usually in this business, and a lot of retail businesses, usually we deliver the goods when we get paid. So the receivable cycle is really short. But with the repair business, it can be long. And I'm going to tell you, and I know this because we struggled with this in the business when we first started,
Absolutely.
is when you have those BER phones, those beyond economical repair phones, man, not that you have a ton of them, but what happens is when you call that customer to let them know that that phone is not repairable, a lot of times they don't show back up.
Yeah, they abandon it.
Right. So, and it's not a bad thing if you have the parts and you need to harvest parts and you have the phone to do something with, but at the end of the day, you didn't get paid for your time.
Right. And here's another, what used to be nice in the business also is even if somebody did abandon a phone, you could take it, wipe it, and sell it. Nowadays,
It's getting tougher.
you can't do that because they could have it activation locked. They could have it locked to their iCloud account. So now you can't get paid for your services even if you did put a new LCD on there and and here's what happens is they decide that paying rent is a little bit more important
than paying you your
than
service
paying
fee.
you for your service to pick up their phone and then go to, and they're like, you know what, I'm going to just go to Walmart and pick up a $20 pay-as-you-go phone because I got to make rent this month.
And here's another thing a lot of business owners don't think about. You don't always have to keep the customer's phone. If the phone is functioning and they can use the phone, you can have them purchase the part, right? And then they come back in when the part comes in. So you don't always have to take the phone in and have that time start.
Right.
And then waiting and waiting and waiting.
To clarify
that you as the business purchase the part.
Right.
Don't have the customer do it.
Right.
So I mean, there's ways, and that's really.
I want to clarify that a little bit more. So what that means is, let's say you have a customer that walks in and you don't have the part in stock. Right. So instead of losing the sale because the customer doesn't want to leave the phone with you, have them prepay for the part. So you're using their money, or have them prepay for the repair. So you're using their money to get the inventory, right? And now you got them, and they're going to come back.
It ties them to the transaction. They have to come back. You get the sale.
Right. The receivable cycle. I want you guys. That's the key. One of the key words tonight. Think about that, right? You want to shorten that as much as possible. Get your money and be in control of it. And it sounds ruthless, but this is business, guys. We're not here to make friends.
Yeah, we're not running a charity.
Right.
We're running a business.
You have to survive. So you want to make sure you're getting paid for your time, and you have to be in control of that cycle.
Absolutely.
So I want to plug, I see somebody mentioned the podcast. I want to plug a couple of more places you guys can get information from us. So already said the social networking sites, which was YouTube and Facebook. Somebody mentioned the podcast. Somebody also mentioned, I think, the magazine. So if you guys want to get that stuff, again, these are the places you can get that stuff. We have the podcast, we have magazines, we have information on Facebook, information on YouTube. Go get that stuff, guys. There's a lot of information in all of those things. And again, sometimes we only put certain information in certain places.
We want you to follow us. We're here for a relationship, guys, in case you ain't figured it out. So we want you to like us in everywhere that you can. YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. And obviously, follow us, join our mail list so you can get insider scoops on our webinars ahead of time.
And by the way, too, you guys that are new in the industry as well, if you're struggling in the business and you come across something that you can't repair, I do wholesale repairs for everyone, and I do have a mail-in service as well. So that's another piece of support that we do give you, and I extend out to anybody to help them in their business as well.
All right, so it looks like it's about 6:20. We've been
we got started a little late, so we're right at our hour.
At 6:15.
I saw another good question. I kind of want to talk about Terry posted, and I don't know if this is Terry B, one of the Terrys we know, but Terry posted, "Where in the world do you find good technicians?"
Oh man,
and this is so close to my heart. So I know this is. We'll probably spend 30 minutes talking about this, right?
Actually, we should hold it off to, didn't we? Isn't that?
Well, it kind of is the next webinar.
It's the topic for the next webinar, which it doesn't do justice with
a
started right. It started the conversation.
That's good.
What
point.
I will
that's
say, just throw it out there. It ain't easy. And you will go through a lot of technicians before you find a good one. And basically, what it is, we're going to tell you how to weed it out. We're going to tell you. how to hire correctly. It's really about hiring process. There's a lot of different things that you can do.
Systems.
Right.
Systemizing
about
it.
systems,
There's a lot of things you can do.
I actually saw Josh on the chat actually posted. I think he's lost 5 technicians since he's been in business. So, that's pretty typical.
That's the name of the game, man. That's the name of the game. What you have to do, and really a lot of the businesses that I have helped had that problem, and some of the businesses actually got held hostage by their technicians. So.
Man,
And,
hey,
you know,
I've heard some major franchisees getting held hostage,
Yeah.
where their technicians are stealing from them blatantly, and
And
they
they-
know it,
and they
but
kept
they
them
can't
on.
do anything
They
about it.
kept them on.
Yeah.
You know they were stealing from them. They kept them on because they couldn't, because those individuals were the backbone of the business. And those are the things that we're here to show you how to get away from that to where
Did you get somebody?
to where that's
I'm gonna
happening.
get
I
that.
personally almost had that happen in my business, but I had things structured good enough to where that wasn't it didn't scare me. Some of the technicians thought they were able to do that, but you know what?
Oh, and the blog too.
They figured it out real quick that I wasn't being held hostage by these guys. So it's going to be a good topic on next one, especially it's going to be all around that.
Yeah.
And
Well,
really, that goes into a lot of the things that I talk with a lot of different businesses about marketing, keeping your business afloat, how to retain your employees. It's a lot of the things. These are things that all companies and all businesses deal with.
Yeah,
day in,
regardless of the
day out,
business. Absolutely.
And it's really knowing how to deal with these things to be successful. Because you can't get over a certain income unless you have these certain things put in place. You're going to be limited to how much you can make unless you get a good solid team in place. And that's what we're here to do, is help you do that.
Absolutely. So Josh is posting the links.
Yeah,
to
I forgot. I apologize, man. I got so passionate talking about some of the things we talk about. I totally got distracted. You want to take one more question?
Yeah, you got another one in there, Will?
Let me find a good one. In-house training programs, don't hire tags. Let's see.
So you guys know, I'm just kind of posting some things up there for you right now. If you look at the top, this should be displayed as a sticky. The link to our Facebook page, the link to our blog as well, and then right now I'm just going to post. I'm going to post the link to our Twitter account also. If you're just interested in just staying abreast of what's going on in the industry, getting some really great insider information and some tips and tricks. We release videos, special training videos. I know Will and one of our instructors has been putting together some fantastic deep level soldering training videos that we've been throwing out there for you guys. So definitely, don't be shy. Follow us. What'd you guys find? You got one?
I got one. I got a question. Alvaro says, oh gosh, I had him, then I lost him.
I know.
This thing moves on you. Let me see.
Oh,
if you
real quick, while you look at that,
Okay.
Ben asks, Frank, have you looked at the dry box for water damage repairs?
I see that one.
You remember dry box?
Yeah.
You remember
You
David?
know what? We met that guy.
Yeah, we met him at CTA.
CTA.
David, he's a great guy.
Yeah.
Great guy. But
it ain't gonna work.
yeah,
And there's
and I hate to kind of shit on, excuse my language, but I don't like to put down people's products.
poo-poo on him.
I don't want to poo-poo.
Yeah,
I'm a poo-poo
poo-poo
on it.
on 'em.
Well, and the problem is, realistically, the dry box is a faster method of what rice is.
Yeah, and you know what? There's another product out there that Walmart sells that does the exact same thing.
Very similar, yeah. It's that little bag.
Little bag
sealable
that you
bag.
throw it in there. But here's the problem. Does it get rid of moisture? Absolutely, it does. But what it doesn't do, it doesn't get rid of the corrosion. And that's what causes, and what you'll learn in the classes, is what really causes devices not to function. One of the main contributing factors is corrosion, guys.
Absolutely.
It's not just the water.
Yeah, it's like rust on a car, right?
Oxidation.
And then the problem is putting it into something like a dry box or even rice or the safe packs or whatever they're called. All that does is retard the process, right? But over time, that rust and that oxidation comes back and then creep in as the electricity flows through the circuits.
Right.
It starts to eat away at those component connections, which is why it's not enough to just throw the device into some sort of inhibitor. You have to tear it apart and clean that bad boy.
Right.
Yeah,
Which is
sometimes they'll come back for sure if you put it in like the dry box, or I forget what the other one is.
Right.
I think it's like Wet Medic or something like that. But it'll come back sometimes, but over the course of time with the use, the electricity and all that other things, You'll start to lose functionality over time. And really, that's up to you as the company, the technician / employee, whatever side of the fence you're on. That's why you have to educate your customer about things.
Yeah.
Because the more you know, the more valuable you are, and why that makes sense. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'd rather spend $50 with you than $50 on this product, or spending, I don't know how much you wanted for the dry box.
Well, the dry box was expensive. I don't know. I mean, that was a couple years back, so I don't know where it's at today.
I mean,
you know, and again, no harm or foul, but for us in the cell phone repair space, I think that works well for activation centers or guys that aren't really trying to do cell phone repairs. But remember, you're at Cellular Repair School, so we're here to talk about cell phone repairs. And realistically, that is not going to stop the process. And if oxidation or corrosion has happened, it's not going to save it.
And that's interesting when you say educate your customer, because a lot of times your customer will get their phone wet or will come into contact with some type of humidity, and it was so long ago that when they come to you, they'll say, or they come to you guys, they'll say, no, my phone never got wet. Because what they're not doing is they're not putting two and two together. They're not attributing what happened in the past to what's happening today. Because sometimes that oxidation does take a little bit of time to actually show its effect.
Or they thought they had it fixed.
Or they thought they had it fixed, exactly.
I'll put it in the
and you open it up,
Right.
and you open it up and you say, well, you have liquid damage, or you have water damage. So very important to educate.
Are we done with Q&As? Did you want to do any more Q&As? Are we going to wrap up? What are we doing here?
I saw one Q&A, but I think we can wrap it up. I think we're running kind of close to time. So what we're going to do, guys, is we're going to wrap it up. You guys, like Josh told you guys last week, you guys can continue to chat, right? And what we'll do is even when we end this broadcast, we'll still be online answering some of you guys' questions. Again, if you guys have any further questions after this webinar, feel free to send those questions to support@cellularrepairschool.com. We'll answer as many questions as we can. Again, we're here to give you guys the information, and that's what we're here to do. And we try to put that information in so many different places. So Josh sent out the links for you guys to go get that. Frank, we want to thank you for being here.
Frank, if you need my services or help from me personally, one-on-one, frank@gearvana.com. That's GEARVANA.com.
Yes, okay. You guys talk to this guy. He knows what he's talking about. Josh, you got any final words?
I'm having fun. I tell you, I'm having fun just talking about what I love to do. So I don't have any final words. What I would tell you is, hopefully you guys seen value. This series of webinars, we're going to continue to do them. We're trying to build upon topics from the previous sessions. So as we kind of alluded to, next week we're going to be talking specifically to you guys who understand how to get top-notch technicians and how to retain them.
That's a tough question.
I might even stop by too to tell you some of my horror stories.
We might bring you back. You guys let us know if you want us to bring him back.
Yeah, if you like the bald spots, all the bald spots we got going on.
It's the stress of doing business. It's the cost of doing business.
Save your hair.
Lose your hair.
Save your hair.
SaveYourHairline.com. Other than that, man, no, it's been another great night.
You guys almost act like you don't want to end this thing. I'm kind of getting that feeling like.
Yeah, I'm having fun. I'm enjoying myself. It's nice. But honestly, nice, like Will said, hang around. We have people hanging around for like an hour and a half after the last webinar. There's a lot of activity in the community on the side, so feel free to hang around, interact. Again, we will be hanging around, answering more questions, so don't be shy. If you have more questions we didn't get to, we'll try to take some time to answer every question.
Give us more ideas, guys. Give us more ideas about what it is you want to talk about. What discussions do you want to have? We're here for you. So when you're sending in those, those requests or whatever to support@cellularrepairschool.com, ask us about what you want us to talk about, so we can.
Yeah, and by the way, guys, I want to just say one more thing. Is take advantage of over the weekend if you're thinking about getting into the industry or getting the training. At the $500 is a complete steal. I use it hands down all the time in my company or whatnot, just for even training or even brushing up on things, because I don't do repairs anymore, and it's been a while. So even as just a refresher, even if you have been into the industry or you have been working on things or don't even know anything, it's a fantastic tool to have to either get into the industry or continue to refresh your knowledge so you know what's going on.
Yeah. What I do want to mention, that I don't know if everybody can see the poll that we posted, because I want to get good at using this. This is kind of cool stuff we got. So we did post a poll of everybody that's in the community that's been interacting, who's in the business already and who's not. We've got 28% that say, heck yeah, and I'm loving it. We've got 16% that say they're in the business and they're struggling. And then we've got 56% that said no, but they're trying to figure things out, right? So, of course, that's what these webinar series are for, is to all of those things, you know, to build communities for the guys who are loving it. For the guys who aren't in the business, that's what we're here to do, is kind of, you know, shed some light on these topics, you know, and help you along your decision-making process. Right. And then for that 16% that are struggling, that's where Frank is really, his specialty is going to be. You know, obviously, depending on what you're struggling with, here at the school, we specialize in training on very technical topics. But, you know, Frank and myself as well, you know, we do a lot of business coaching. So, you know, don't be shy.
Right.
Don't be shy.
And I want to say, guys, the ones that are struggling, this business is not easy. I mean, because I feel your pain, and that's why I started doing the consultations, to kind of help people continue to do what they need to do. And we have great technicians, and a lot of people getting into the business are technicians, but they need a little help with the business side. And it doesn't take a whole lot. I mean, like I said, that's why I only take so many a month, so this way I can give full attention to those people for that complete month. And 30 to 60 days can completely turn around your business. Exactly. Where you're either pulling your hair out to where you're like, God,
and it doesn't,
I love this and I'm making enough money.
And it doesn't take a lot of things. It takes you doing a few things.
The right things.
The right things.
A couple of the right things.
The right way. Very well. Focus on doing 2 or 3 things really good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you'll see a drastic difference in your results.
And the other 57% or whatever it was that are thinking about getting into the business, I just wanted to say a real quick story, a little bit of background about myself. I didn't talk about what I did before. I was not even in the electronics field or whatnot. I was in the military at one point in time, and I was a tanker. So I was used to using sledgehammers and screwdrivers and big tools, you know. Nothing that was fine-tuned or anything like that.
Shooting mosquitoes with elephant guns.
Yeah, I was shoot, move, and communicate, not looking at little stuff, you know. So it's fairly easy to get in this business because it's such a low-cost entry-level point, as long as you have the right training, which what we have here today for you guys is it completely will get you going. You could realistically start as soon as you start taking a training, depending on how much time you spend. People do it part-time. I'm helping people right now as we speak build their business while they're working a full-time job. But the first step was they got the training. And once they got the training, we were able to work with them and help them get their business, because they're like, you know what, I'm working full-time, I'm going to school, I'm a single mother, I'm a single father, how do I do this? Right. You know, there's a lot of questions, and once they got the training portion out of the way, then we were able to help them get that. You can do it, guys. It doesn't take that much time. Even if it took a half hour or hour out of your day, you can do that with this system. And the return on your investment, now that it's only $500, I mean, think about it. You could do literally 5 repairs
and make your
money back. You do 10 repairs and you can double your money.
Yeah.
I mean, there are places, especially in my business right now, I do over 10 repairs a day. Easily. So it's so easy to do that. Craigslist alone, you know, what we talked about is Craigslist and advertising. You can learn how to do just 1 or 2 devices and start your business off of that and starting to generate money to supplement your income, to start moving into this business closer and closer and closer to leaving your job or full-time job. Or what you do is, some people strictly use this as, you know what, I love my full-time job, but you know what,
I kind of want make a couple grand,
$3,000 or $4,000 a month
every month
to kind of subsidize my income. You know,
right.
I really want that Harley Davidson in that boat.
I mean, who couldn't use an extra $2,000 or $3,000 a month?
No, there's no such thing as extra money.
Who couldn't use an extra? Yeah.
So
who couldn't use 2 or 3 more thousand?
I can.
I know I can right now myself.
All right, guys, let's wrap this thing up.
All right.
It's getting long. All right.
Yeah. Again.
All right.
You got questions? Post them. We're going to be hanging around for a little bit talking. So we're going to end the broadcast, but definitely keep posting questions. We're going to try to get to as many as possible. We'll see you next week.
Yeah. Right, William Agnew signing off.
Joshua Gray.
Frank Smith.
See you guys.
See you guys. Thank you.